Hi everyone, I am Jacqueline and today we will talk about the romantic theory or romanticism. Okay, so first let's um, know for the definition of romanticism. So the term romanticism does not stem directly from the concept of love, but rather from the French word romant means a romantic story told in verse. So Romanticism focused on the emotions and the inner life of the writer. So today we'll try to connect the theory on the story entitled Little Women by M. Alcott. So if you have read the story, then that's a thumbs up. But um, in my case, I have watched the movie and then I also read the summary. Now, The Little Women, it is a story that tells how the sisters grow up, find love, and find their place in the world. So four sisters and their mother at home. Their father is fighting in the war. And Louisa May Alcott semi-autobiographical novel has captured young women and the young at heart for years. So The Little Women draws heavily from the Alcott's own life. So since it is the genre is autobiography, so it deals with the experiences or the childhood experience of Louisa May Alcott. So she took inspiration from her childhood memories and, of course, the family members, basing Little Women's Meg on her oldest sister, Anna, an actress who met her own John Brooke, and then Alcott's third sister, the gentle Lizzie or Elizabeth, contracted scarlet fever from a poor family she was helping and died 2 years later. Weakened despite her recovery, like her fictional counterpart Beth March, so she was just 22. The youngest, May or Abigail, was an ambitious artist like Amy. And Alcott herself was a tomboy, a writer, an independent woman like Josephine March or Jo March. Now, is Little Women a realist? So, I can say that it is realist because it is based on the experiences of Louisa M. Alcott. And one for the novel's enduring popularity is its realism because it is based on Alcott's own family. So it was the most lifelike novel for children that many readers had yet encountered. So Louisa herself was Jo, while her eldest sister Anna became Meg, and her younger sisters Lizzie and May became Beth and Amy, respectively. Now, in the novel The Little Women, the writing style is simple and straightforward. The characters are real and the plot consists of series of chapters, humorous, tragic, or thought-provoking as the girls learn about life and form their characters. Now let's talk about the characteristics of romantic literature. So, if you are going to use romanticism in your story, like in criticizing a story, you should consider these things. So, Because the Romanticist movement is concerned primarily with breaking tradition and celebrating the individual, the Romantic writers each embrace different elements of Romantic literature. However, some of the most common characteristics of literary Romanticism include nature, individualism, female experience, and of course, I forgot to include the emotion. Now, let's talk about first the celebration of nature. So, Romantic writers saw nature as a teacher and a source of infinite beauty. So, if we are going to relate nature in the story The Little Women, so in Little Women, the March family recognizes the power and importance of being in nature. So Marmee, the mother of the four March girls, so routinely insists that her daughters go outside. So they have created their busy bee society, where they take their work and go outside to do it. They climb up a hill where they can see the countryside around them, and it makes them feel more centered, calmer, and contented. Now, let's also second characteristics of Romantic literature is that it focuses on the individual and spirituality. So Romantic writers turn inward, valuing the individual experience above all else. So this in turn led to heightened sense of spirituality in Romantic work and the addition of occult and supernatural elements. So in Little Women, it centers on the conflict between two emphases in a young woman's life, that which she places on herself and that which she places on her family. So in the novel, an emphasis on domestic duties and family detracts from various women's abilities to attend to their own personal growth. The major theme of Little Women are the sisters' ongoing efforts to improve their characters, to love one another, and put their faith in God. So despite their occasional grumbling, they learn that great joy can be had by living for others and of faithfully doing their duty. Like for example, in the very first chapter of the book, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy recall the times they acted out John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress, the greatest Christian allegory ever penned. So it focused, of course, no, on the spirituality. So another example is that in chapter 2, Marmee gives her daughters Bibles as their Christmas presents. Meg, who is described as sweet and pious, vows to read from it every day. So her sisters, impressed by Meg's example, resolved to do the same. So Meg became a role model, no, to her sisters. So another is when Amy brings up Jo's short stories in chapter 8. Their mother's biblical advice to Jo is, don't let the sun go down upon your anger. Forgive each other, help each other, and begin again tomorrow. So it really mais kaayo nga katong nga chapter katong gisunog ni Amy ang short stories ni Jo because wala siya pakuyuga. Nya mo na ang advice sa iyahang mama, which is good, and we can also apply it in our real life situation, di ba? Now, in Romantic literature, one of the characteristics is that it also depicts a celebration of isolation. So Ralph Waldo Emerson was a very influential writer in Romanticism. His books of essays explored many of the themes of the literary movement and could codify them. His 1841 essay, Self-Reliance, is a seminal work of romantic writing in which he exhorts the value of looking inward and determining your own path and relying on only your own resources. So, in the story The Little Women, it also talks about self-reliance. Example is the self-reliance of Jo in Little Women. It is when Jo sells her hair to help earn money in order for her mother to take on a journey to visit their father who was ill. And because of Jo's reliance on herself, she makes the decision to cut her hair and keeps it a secret until the task is completed. Another example is when Jo takes up writing to provide for herself. Then she ultimately leaves home and travels to New York to work as a governess for two small children and writes sensation stories for the local newspaper. Another is when Jo Jo received a letter from her mother, like it showed there. I mean it. I mean the letter. The content of the letter is that Beth was Beth was seriously ill, and so she went home rather. Jo went home, and then when she got home, she handed out some money to her mother para mapuno-punuan og bayad sa ilahang panginahanglan or sa medicine ni Beth. Mo na siya. And then, mo na siya another example, mo na siya example sa self-reliance sa nga makonect nato sa Little Women. So, another one is female experience. So, in Little Women, Marmee is the true moral center for the four March sisters. Her husband is a chaplain for the Union Army. And this basically makes Marmee a single mom the majority of the time. So somehow she must navigate an uncertain world on a very little money, while at the same time holding her family together. She steers an emotionally charged household with four teenage daughters and manages to navigate an uncertain world on very little money while still raising her daughters with love and values. And also, another example of female experience, of course, with the main character Jo, no? Her kanang ang her childhood memories sa iyahang sisters and also ang iyahang experiences kung giunsa niya pag like pag-provide para sa iyang kaugalingon using like writing stories para mabuhi bitaw siya, which is it became successful, no? Now, so before we'll proceed to the moral lesson of Little Women, let's also talk one of the core principle of romantic literature is of course the emotion. So in Little Women, it shows a variety of emotions like joy, the kindness, generosity, and openness to the experience of others. It showed generosity. It is when it was like chapter 1 ata. It was Christmas, and then they decided to celebrate, or they decided to celebrate Christmas on kanang sa balay atong babae na naay mga anak ba din murag pobre, magluoy ba, naluoy sila, naluoy ang mama din yung gidala ang mga anak, which is it showed kindness man para nila di pa kay syempre wala sad sila, I mean gamay ra ang naa nila, but then they still manage to like murag selfless ba kumbaga, mas gipilit nila nga adto mag-celebrate sa katong walang wala bitaw. Imo to pagbalik nila, nibong na sila nga lo daghan na og pagkaon oy mo dito nga ang ilaha di ay neighbor, which is nga nahimo nilang friend si Mr. Lawrence ang naghatag og pagkaon nila. So now let's proceed to the moral lesson of the Little Women. So first is that we can handle whatever life throws at us as long as we try. So in the case of Marmy, the mother of the 4 March girls, no, na-handle niya tanan, although kay single mom siya, nakaya niya nga buhion ang iyahang mga anak, no, na syempre dili pud lalim kay syempre dili pud sila like kanang dato bitaw kaayo nana. Then, it also talks about the importance of honesty, hard work, true love, and family unity. And that's all. That's all, guys. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned something from my report. And stay safe. God bless. Bye bye.